finally got a Boss 302 intake manifold to shave. This will be my first one I've ever done. Kind of got a game plan on what I want to do to shave it. I'm going to take y'all through kind of my thought process of what I've got going on and why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. I'm sure there's probably better ways. I'm going to go with what I feel like is going to work and see how it turns out. Well, the plan is to get this off. We'll go ahead and clean all the double-sided stick tape off of this. And then what I want to do is I want to scuff up each individual hole that's in the backside of this and fill it with the plastic epoxy. Then once we got this all filled, we'll scuff it all up, scuff this up, glue this back down, grind all the letters, do a skim coat over the whole deal, and hopefully she's smooth. Put some primer on it and get it painted. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on getting the intake manifold cleaned up and prepped, and let's make that happen. All right, so it looks like we got all the glue off. I'm gonna switch up the wire wheel for the grinding disc. Yeah, that seems to be doing a good job. I'm using 120 grit on the grinding disc. All right, I think I've got that cleaned up, scuffed up, prepped pretty good. Now let's move that out of the way and we'll get the bottom side of this prepped. So as I was grinding all this smooth and getting it cleaned up, I got to thinking I could grind down all the stuff on the outside, layer tape over it, and then fill it up from the inside. I gotta figure out how to hold it down though. I'll probably put it back on the intake, tape it down, and grind the letters off. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. All right, let's do that. I'm probably gonna use something more aggressive. What do I got in here? I got some 36. We'll go with 36, see how quick that cuts it down. And I may end up using a bigger grinder than that. Instead of me trying to do all the filling and then sanding and grinding and all that stuff after that, I'm going to use, this is a fiberglass mat that I cut out to go over top of the holes. I'm going to try to glue this down either to the intake manifold or to the bottom. Once I get the epoxy how I want it all over the whole intake, then I'll press this down, let whatever's gonna ooze through the holes to help fill them. And I do a quick wipe over. Once it's cured and it's all together, we can grind it all down and do a skim coat over the whole thing to make it smooth. For the epoxy, I'm using Fuser 100 EZ. So this is some badass stuff. It gets real hard and rigid. It's a hard plastic. I believe the intake's like a composite plastic or something, and this is good for bumpers, fiberglass, carbon fiber, heavy duty truck composite panels, all that great stuff. That's what I'm going to use. So just kind of gob it up there. think that's good. Judge where the fiberglass mat needs to go. All right, this fiberglass mat will soak up this 100 EZ, so that way it ends up being a better bond or whatever. All right. I'm gonna fill up all the grooves and the holes with the 100 EZ. We'll smear it out, and I'm gonna throw tape across it and probably one of those heavy plates to hold everything down. So we'll go ahead and get that. We let it sit overnight. And now we got to tape off. It doesn't look too bad. So I'm gonna take the grinder and I'm gonna grind all this smooth, and then we'll put a skim coat over top of it and we'll let that cure. All right, now we're going to do a skim coat over the whole thing with the 100 EZ. All right, so I believe we left off with, I had done the first skim coat of the 100 EZ after gluing it down is where I left off. Since then, I took the DA with 80 grit and buzzed it all down flat. And then I did another skim coat over the entire thing of 100 EZ. It's been out in the sun for 2 days. I'd let it sit out throughout the day, bring it in, then the next day let it sit out in the sun again, just to make sure it's good and cured. I didn't want none of the lines or anything that I'm shaving to ghost back through, and one of the main things that causes that is the epoxy or the body filler or the skim coat not being 100% cured after it's painted. And then what happens is it starts to cure underneath the paint, which sucks up, and then you end up seeing the outlines of everything. So I'm just trying to make sure I do everything I can to keep anything from sucking up or showing back through. Anyways, what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna take the DA with 180 grit, knock it down, smooth it all out, and then we'll skim it with a light filler called a glaze. Let that cure, buzz it back down, and it should be ready for primer. All right, so we got it all buzzed down and smooth. And now it's time for the glaze putty. And this one I'm using Evercoat glazing putty. This stuff will just fill in all the little low spots we have and give us a nice smooth finish. All right, so we got all that wiped, and we'll let this harden up and cure. Then we'll knock it down with 180. Then we'll get some primer on it. Since priming it, blocked it out with 320, then edged it out with a Scotch-Brite, this intake's looking awesome. There's no signs of anything ghosting back through. Everything looks solid, feels smooth, looks smooth. Now it's time to get some paint on this thing. We'll seal it, base it, and put the candy on it. I don't know if I've told y'all yet, but this is going code RR, which is ruby red. And I'm kind of just gonna go through the motion of it, show y'all how it's done. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.